My name is Theo Jansen. I'm an artist, and since 1990 I try to make new forms of life. These forms of life live on the beaches. It are a sort of animals, and there has been an evolutionary process, so they're getting better and better surviving the circumstances on the beach, like the storms, the water and the sand. Here in the library there will be an exhibition about my work in Flying Solo Program exhibition Under the Cone. When I was young, I was studying here. So in the morning I had to go to this building to have the lectures of the professors. And I studied 7 years here. It was in the hippie time. And I must say, I didn't feel very much at home here. I felt that I didn't really belong here. But I did it because I did it for my environment, for my parents, for my family, because I was the only one who was able to study. I'm the last of 11 children. So after the war, I was the first one who really went to school. And so it was quite a sort of responsibility, you could say, on my shoulders. So I studied 7 years, and then I divorced. And then I thought, well, maybe now I can do something which I really want. And that was painting. I loved painting. So I became a painter. So I painted for many years. I became an artist. And from one thing came the other. And in the end, I became a Strandbeest artist. So I was quite late going to university. And I had a long youth. And for me, it was such an adventure, of course, coming here with all these bright people around me. And in the beginning, I had really adjustment problems here to being growing up, in fact, and being an adult. And so I became a member of this students' club for a year, and then I gave up that. And I was studying physics, which is not an easy subject. And I found it very difficult, this study, this discipline, and I was not a very good student. And I remained 7 years on this university. And in the beginning, when I was here, then people were saying, well, he couldn't succeed his study. He's a fallen student. So that was a perspective on me as a personality. But nowadays people say, well, he was too unconventional for the rigid construction of the study in Delft. He was too much a free thinker to be there. And so it's a totally different perspective nowadays. Yes, in the old library, which was in town, I spent a lot of time studying, and I liked a room full of people who are very silent and concentrating. That was really an atmosphere which was very stimulating. Later, when I was not a student anymore, I went there as well. I was not stopped at the door saying, you're not a student here. No, they let everybody in. That was a very open society. I did it for 22 years, so every fortnight I had to write a column. And these were usually a sort of excursions in imagination. It had, in many cases, it had to do something with science, because it was in the science part of the newspaper. And for me, it has been so important, because as a human being, you're forced to think at every moment of your life, how can I use this experience in an article, in a column? So, and it is, I would advise everybody to take a column in a newspaper because you get a better view on the world. It's a sort of exercise your imagination, just like going to the sports school. Instead of your muscles, it's your brain cells which are stimulated. The Strandbeest started as a column in the newspaper. So for half a year, the Strandbeest were just that column, and then I went to the tool shop and bought some of these tubes. So it was it has been very important for my life to be a columnist. Yes, well, it was an idea to bring a sort of skeletons to the beach, which would gather sand to build up the dunes on wind power, just to protect the country against the rise of the sea level. That was the basic idea. This whole idea of artificial life, it started off by reading a book by Richard Dawkins called The Blind Watchmaker. Somebody gave it to me, and when I read this book, I was totally into the evolution theory because he has so very nice examples. Before that, I thought how it worked, the evolution, but after reading this book, I didn't know at all how it worked. By reading this book, I really dived deeper in the evolution theory. During the years, I got so much more intrigued by the evolution theory, that I forgot to save the country, and so the whole sand part, the dune part, is a bit to the background. Until a few years ago, then I realized that when you put a structure on the beach, then the sand will gather beneath. The wind brings it there, and it slows it down. So it's standing with its feet in the sand. And if you have something to lift it up every time, then the hill will slowly grow. With on top of that, there will be the beasts. So it came back somehow. It's a pleasure to be back here and looking back on my life here. I remember a day like this, that everybody was on vacation, so there were not too many people walking around here, and I had to finish something on my research lab here in the summer. So I was a hippie, so I had long hair and was walking with my sandals and bare feet through the corridors, which was not very common as well. So people were a little bit looking strange at me in those days. Yeah, it was a copper bar, and the sound went in there with a piezo crystal, so with just vibrations and pulses, you could say, and the pulses were received at the other side of the bar, and then you had to take conclusions of the velocity of the sound in the bar of copper. And I did something totally different because I thought it was interesting to, when the pulse went in, to take it out and put it back in again and see what happens. And then I noticed that there were some modes in there that are some repeating stories, that there was some repeating pulse series. And you could compare this with the drops coming from a tap. There is something in there, the same kind of chaotic behavior, and later came the chaos theory, and I thought, in fact, I was busy with the chaos theory. We are in the physics department of the Technical University of Delft, and in this room, I used to do my research project. And it's totally different now because it's now a kind of reception. But I used to look out of this window and have this view over Delft, over the technical quartier of Delft. And I remember that I was really having fun with doing physics here. It was one of the fun parts, because I was doing this project which was accepted by my mentor, which I was doing something totally which was not supposed, was I not supposed to do. And he liked it. So at first I felt some recognition, I guess, in this room. And that's, so this is one of the more happy moments here, which I had doing my research project. During the study you did this, you had to do this practicum, they called it, that you had to do experiments. So it was totally, you had to follow, everything was in a book. What I remember here was Studium Generale. It was an institute which brought culture to these students, because these students, they thought, well, they are too much busy with technical things. We should feed them some culture. And I liked that. I really felt that so I went to these lectures, and I can't really remember what it was about, but I went there. I remember that, yeah. Well, I often am requested to give lectures to some wind turbine kind of thing and new energy things, because the Strandbeest, they live on the wind, and but I don't think I have something to contribute to the technical knowledge of these people. It's more like a sort of mental inspiration, because what I think the Strandbeest do sometimes is that that's what they do with me. They make me see the miracle of life somehow, because I'm trying to do the evolution anew, and then I see more that, in fact, that we are living in one big miracle. I mean, one of the big miracles, I'm thinking about it every day, is that you landed in your body and I landed in mine, and how my life got about. And I'm thinking a lot about this, and somehow the Strandbeest, I notice with people that they give some view on life on itself, yeah, and it's like that, as if you, because our lives are full of agendas and appointments and whatever, but the essence of life, what we have to do, what life is about, is something we don't think of too much, but we have to, I think, to motivate us to think about the future, the future generations. And it's so I think my work doesn't contribute very much technical solutions for wind energy, for instance, but it might motivate the people, to give them a reason to do something about it. In the beginning, I was afraid that the animals would have one big enemy, and that would be humankind, the human people, humans who would attack the beast. So in the beginning I thought I had to arm them with a sort of poisonous arrows or so, that people wouldn't come closer, because it was dangerous, of course. And during the years, it turned out that the Strandbeests were never vandalized on the beach. And I think they have a much more effective weapon, and that's their charm. And they somehow charm the people. And also on my winter working place, which is public territory, I find beer tins, I find graffiti on my cabin, but the animals, they are never damaged, and that's how they survive. In fact, they survive on the internet, but they survive also in reality, just using their charm. We're standing here at the Haagse Hogeschool, and there's a Strandbeest here called the Animaris currens ventosa, and it's shown here as an a natural historical object as a part of the evolutionary story of the Strandbeests. Now, before this building was built, this was a part of the technical university. We as students, we had to learn how to treat metal. So I made a microscope here. And as an unsuccessful student, I'm so happy that I'm back somehow. So I'm so happy that the beast is hanging here.